you ready to catapult your team to new heights? Do you need to lock on to problems and splash them with ease? Then stand by to recover your sanity and take your team to the next level with this week's mission from Locked On Leaders with Mission Commander Dave Rosenberg.
Welcome to another episode of the Locked On Leader. I'm Dave Rosenberg, and we're continuing on our mission to replace Thank God It's Friday with Thank God It's Monday. I want to talk about a couple concepts that are frequently confused by leaders that really are very different and need to be handled differently even though they're related. And that's the difference between accountability and responsibility. Now, we frequently use these words interchangeably, but they really mean two very different things. Responsibility means our ability to respond, where accountability is our ability to account or account for. So let's take these one at a time. Let's do the easy one first. Our ability to respond. So baked into this is a factor of time. So if you know how to do something and it's expected of you to do it, and you don't do it in a timely fashion, then we are not responsible, we don't have responsibility, or we are irresponsible. And when I say we don't have responsibility, if you don't have the expectation to deal with that situation, you're not responsible. Well, let's take, for example, customer service. If you are an accounting clerk and you're not normally supposed to deal with customers, and a customer calls in a panic because a shipment didn't get there in time, as the accounting clerk, you have no expectation that you are going to respond to that, and so you don't have the responsibility to deal with that. If you're a customer service rep, however, you must deal with that in a timely fashion, and thus that's your responsibility. Now, that doesn't mean the accounting clerk shouldn't handle it, but it means if the accounting clerk doesn't handle it, we can't say as leaders that they're being irresponsible, because that's not their job, right? There's no expectation that they will deal with this. Now, let's look at that versus accountability. So account actually comes from the root Latin word computare, which means to calculate. And I like to think of this as knowing the steps needed to be taken, knowing the procedures. Right? When we calculate something, we have to know A, B, C, 1 + 1 = 2. We have to know the methodology for doing something. So in order to be accountable, what we're really talking about is the ability to do things in the correct order. So again, our accounting clerk could be accountable for customer service, meaning they may have the ability to do things in the correct order, but not responsible for customer service. They don't have a duty to respond. So there's three parts here. We have our ability, we have time, response, and we have account, which is doing things in the correct order, doing things properly. These three things make up what I call the effectiveness triangle. And when you have all three in equal proportions, you are going to be effective at that job or that that you're responsible for. This is a wonderful tool as we're leaders, as we're looking to hold people and counsel people in areas where they're deficient, because it really begs the question is, are they being accountable, responsible, irresponsible, or are they unaccountable? And this will tell you where to focus your efforts. Let's take a quick look at what this looks like. Let's say you have a salesperson who is supposed to fill out a certain amount of paperwork in a timely fashion to get the order placed. The order doesn't get placed in time. So what do we look at? First of all, let's look at their responsibility. Was the paperwork submitted? If the paperwork was in fact submitted when it was supposed to do, they were being responsible, they did the responsible thing, they filled out the paperwork. That's not their failure. If, however, the paperwork is filled out incorrectly, then you need to hold them to account because they didn't do the procedure properly. They are unaccountable. So that tells us as leaders where we need to focus our mitigation. If they're not doing things properly, but they're doing it in a timely fashion, that requires additional training. If, however, they've been trained, they know how to do things in a proper fashion, but they don't do it in a timely manner, that's irresponsible. And that usually comes down to a character flaw. That usually means that somebody who is, for some reason, is not motivated or inspired to do this thing, whatever it is that they're failing on. And then as leaders, we have to figure out why that is, and then make a determination if that's something we can correct or help them correct, because it's really self-correcting, or the correction is to put them in a different position, perhaps at a different company, where they may feel more motivated. So hopefully now, armed with the difference between responsibility and accountability, you can now help your team become higher functioning, high performance, and self-correcting, because you gave them the right tools and you know how to analyze when they fail and make them stronger and better teammates. As always, if you have any questions on this or any other leadership topic, please put your comments below. You can follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and obviously you can always come to my webpage, www.lockedonleadership.com. I look forward to seeing you again, and remember, you are going to be a locked on leader.